what's been your experience so far, and kind of what do you think about seeing sugar fasting explode?
Yeah, I think just like everybody else, I thought it was stupid in the beginning. I thought it was like, oh, here goes Smelly with one of his harebrained schemes, or whatever. But when you really actually look at it, I think we've talked about this a lot. Like I was on carnivore for a long time. And I was on carnivore at a point where I got really lean and I was feeling really good. And I would always throw in some like Sour Patch Kids. They were a cheat back, I called it a cheat. Like I cheated. I had some Sour Patch Kids, but then I would feel like more vascular and I'd feel leaner. And I was asked you, I remember one time I said, like, what would happen if I just threw in like some Sour Patch Kids a couple times a week? And you said, well, if you were really strict on the other parts of your diet, you'd probably get really shredded. And then when we started doing carnivore and we took it seriously, and I think both of us only had actually done full carnivore for like 2 months, maybe before I said, like, you know what, I need to add in some fruit. And we were on Joe Rogan and we talked about that. We're the first people to ever talk about eating meat and fruit on Joe Rogan before any of these other guys did. Even carnivore, we were first people to talk about that because way back when I did Bigger, Stronger, Faster, I talked about the carnivore diet when I was in college. So it was before it was even ever called the carnivore diet.
We've been
messing around with this stuff forever. And
we've always been changing. We've been trying to change stuff to evolve to have things be more optimal.
Yeah, be more optimal. Exactly. And so when I heard, I heard you talking about the sugar fasting, and then I heard Cole talking about it, and Cole said something that just struck me. He said, you're gonna eat like fruit and fruit juice, and you're gonna basically like have as much of that as you want in the absence of fat, and then a separate time in the day you might have some meat and fat. There'll be some days where you don't eat any protein, and at first that's kind of like hard to swallow, like I'm not going to eat any protein. I'm used to eating, 200 grams of protein a day. How's that going to feel? So I just decided to try it about 3 weeks ago. Before I moved to Texas, I started having some issues with weight gain. I don't really know why. And then I went to, when I went to Houston and I first moved there, I actually had a appointment to go get some stem cells. And I went to get stem cells and I was just, bullshitting with the doctor, and he knows a lot about nutrition and training and all this stuff too. And I got into it with him about the carnivore diet. And he said, well, I can tell that you're insulin resistant. And I'm like, well, how can you tell that? And he's like, because of your legs. They're like, there's parts where there's like no hair on them. And they're like, it's like really red. And he's like, that's insulin resistance. That's what happens. And I said, well, how can I be insulin resistant? I've been on this carnivore diet forever. And he's like, yeah, it's just too much saturated fat. You need to like lower your saturated fat. And to me, that was like a harpoon to the chest. I was like, what? Like I'm doing something.
I've been mentioning about lowering fat for a while to you, I think.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't understand. Like this, I've been doing it perfect. I've actually been in ketosis the entire time. I've been doing it exactly how people say to do it. And my body revolted and I put on like 30 pounds, and so I got up to weighing, actually, I think the heaviest recently was like 234 or something. And then for a while I stuck at like 228, and none of my clothes fit me anymore. I'm really depressed because of it, had all sorts of problems. And then 3 weeks ago, I just started eating sugar every day. I started doing a sugar fast, mainly like fruit and fruit juices. But to be honest, I've been having candy in the first 2 weeks, like every day. The first 2 weeks I did it, I had candy every day just because it allowed me to be like, oh, this is fun. I can have this. And then I think like everybody else, you evolve and you get sick of it. And so maybe I'll have candy like once in a while now, but like I've only been doing it for like this is the 4th week. So, but the first 2 weeks was like pretty full blast, but I still wasn't eating that much food. And it's crazy what happens when you don't eat protein, how like little the amount of food that you're actually consuming, so I'd be like eating maybe some Skittles. And then there's a fruit smoothie place where I live that has Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Shout out to it. It's amazing. They have several shakes that you can get that are just fruit and fruit juice, like frozen fruit and fruit juice. And they whip up these smoothies. And I was going there every day and I would get like 2 of them during the day, and I would just treat it like intermittent fasting. So from, time I wake up at like 7 o'clock in the morning until maybe 5 o'clock at night, the only thing I've had really was 2 smoothies, right? And that's about it. And then at night, maybe I would cook up some rice and eat some chicken breast with it. So I haven't had red meat. This is like a confession almost. I haven't had red meat in like a month.
Wow.
Which is crazy for me. Like, I mean, I was all red meat, went from all red meat to not eating red meat, and not on purpose. So it's not like I'm swinging one way to the other. It's just, I just haven't craved it. I haven't felt like I needed it. And the other thing is, a big part of the insulin resistance in my body, particularly, is I deal with chronic pain every day. I've had it forever. And the chronic pain was just so bad every day that I needed to do something different. So like, what could I do different that I haven't been doing? And like, you're doing this sugar thing. And I'm like, well, the sugar thing's not going to be any good, because we all know sugar causes inflammation and blah, 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 blah. And so I just said, you know what, I'm just going to try it. And I tried it, and all the inflammation seems to have gone away. All the pain has gone away. I still have pain when I stand around for a long time and different things like that. But the overall feeling of pain has gone way, way down to the point where
the crippling pain that you had that was keeping you from exercising, a lot of that's subsided.
Yeah, a lot of it's gone down. It's allowing me to like move better, walk more. You know, it's great. I mean, I just flew out here from Texas, and usually that would just destroy me, but I'm able to kind of stand here and talk to you, and I feel good. So we'll just see how it goes. I mean, I was gonna go on this for like 3 months, and just see how it goes. But now I'm looking at it more long term, of like, okay, how can I make this more long term? And there's some things I think that I need to address with you about like how I can make it long term and not have like some sort of deficiency. So obviously, like, you can't just have fruit and fruit juice every day without getting into the fact that you're going to have some sort of deficiencies. And then like, is it okay to not eat protein for that long, and to not eat, or should I edit how much protein is too much, how much protein is good, how much fat is good, and how much is too little or too much? Like, I think my fat has been tanked. It's been definitely below 30 grams every day. And then some of the days, maybe when I have like the chicken breast or whatever, it'll be up around 30 grams, but that's still not a lot of fat.
And you're closing in on like losing nearly 40 pounds or something like that, or 30 something pounds, because you said you're a 207 or something like that.
Weighed 207, and the heaviest I weighed was like 234.
Oh, okay.
So it's like 20 something pounds,
Right.
but like it'll, I think I can keep going. I think I'm definitely going to run this through right down through to like 180, if I can. And it's good because like now I have a goal. Before there was no goal, because I wasn't on some sort of diet, and I wasn't trying to figure something out. But also, like, I'm like you, I just have fun doing it. I like doing it. So like, yeah, there's other diets I could go on. I could like watch my calories and track my calories and do all that, and like slowly like lose the weight. And but I'm not into that. I like, I like trying shit out and being experimental. And sometimes when you're more experimental, you can get better results. And so I want to see what I can do with it.
You mentioned deficiencies. I think sometimes that's what makes something work really well, is to be deficient in something. So it's just kind of like my theory and my thoughts so far is that the fact that you are protein deficient, the fact that you may be micronutrient deficient, I think is a positive thing. Now, you did ask the question of like, how long do you do that for? Well, the results come pretty fast in terms of weight loss, and you want to weigh 180. So I think you could do something like that in 6 months.
Uh-huh.
So you having a dietary intervention that maybe has you deficient in a couple things for 6 months probably isn't that horrible of a thing. And then on top of that, like, there's no reason not to take some breaks from it.
Yeah.
So you would interrupt it. You would blatantly and purposely occasionally just not do the sugar fast. So the sugar fasting, again, for people that are newer, it's sugar, honey, maple syrup, and you got, things like candy, and then you have fruit and fruit juice. So that's sugar fasting. And then for you, I think you would switch over to what I just call the sugar diet. And that's where the second half of that day, or the latter half of that day, or as it gets closer to dinner, is a lean meat and a starch. And that's like money. Like that is that it's like kind of fun to do that, because the options can be unlimited in terms of your starch. I mean, a starch could be everything from something kind of more on the dirty side, like cereal, or it could be something more on the clean side, like a potato. And when you start having potatoes and vegetables and lean sources of protein coming into the diet, it's along with all the fruit that you're eating, you're going to be hammering a lot of great nutrients. And in my opinion, you're going to start to feel the effects of that. And that might be some of the things you felt the effects of already, is now your nutrient profile is capped off probably better than it's ever been. I know for myself, I feel healthier. I feel like I'm able to train a lot harder. And so I think that's what's happening. I think a little bit of a deficiency, I think, is a good thing, just like being just calorie restriction. Calorie restriction is a deficiency in energy, and it results in weight loss. So we always think that a deficiency is some sort of, negative thing, but the human body is amazing. You pull on one string and something happens to a bunch of others. There's a lot of questions over fat soluble vitamins and things like that. I think it's good to have some concern over that and to think about it and to try to maybe hunt down some of those nutrients on the days that you're going off of the sugar fast. But I also think that it's part of the magic of this particular protocol. If you look at keto, or if you look at a lot of other interventions, you're getting rid of some stuff. I mean, we thought that you would be nutrient deficient for sure if you weren't eating vegetables, and we thought, people think all kinds of stuff about veganism and stuff like that too. And it turns out like there's a lot of people that live that way and they live it just fine. They have to make some adjustments though. And same with a fruitarian. Like if someone's predominantly just fruit, I haven't looked into this that much. I think if you are only literally eating fruit, I think eventually, I think you just wither away. And unfortunately, some people have died from it, I believe.
Yeah, that's what happens. You wither away.
And so look, you want to do things to where you have a positive result. You don't want to do a lot of things that are to your detriment. Mm. It can sometimes be a little bit to your detriment, just like training. You go in and you work out and you're like, holy shit, I worked out too hard. I'm too sore. I'm too tired. It made you overeat. It made your sleep more restless. Like overdoing stuff, you want to try to avoid it. But I think in some cases it's good to overdo it. I think in some cases it's good to be a little deficient of particular nutrients. As far as protein goes, again, I think if you're hitting up some protein periodically, and as you start to drop more and more weight, you start to add more protein back in, I don't think you'll have any problems. And I think for us, we're pretty lucky. It's not hard for us to gain or hold muscle.
Yeah, I'm not worried about any of that. And then also like I'm on TRT. And then the other thing that I just started with, along with the sugar diet, is Retatrutide. I've started microdosing that. And that is probably the strongest, it is the strongest GLP-1 drug out there, which is crazy because it's still not even available. It's just available on peptide sites. You have to get it. Like we don't even make it at Empower yet because it's not.
We had Chase Irons on the podcast and he talked a lot about Retatrutide. And he has a lot of great videos. So people that want to learn more about it too, check out some of his YouTube videos.
Yeah, that's where I got it from. He's got a website.
Yeah. It's like $90 on his website.
Yeah, he's got it the cheapest out of anybody. So you go to chaseirons.com and you can find that info. Retatrutide is great because you just don't feel hungry. So I know some people might go, oh, well, he's just losing weight, because of that. And like, if that's whatever, yeah, it is part of it. You can also go buy Retatrutide too, if you want to complain that I'm using that to like lose, 20 pounds in 3 weeks.
Hey, listen, it's always difficult. There's difficulty to every diet and there's difficulty. We have a lot of friends that utilize different GLP-1 things, and it's not like they just are seamlessly losing weight by not following any sort of protocol. Everyone's still on a diet.
Yeah. I think that's the thing is like people think, I've taken semaglutide before and I've taken tirzepatide before. And to be honest with those, I just ate right through them. I didn't really lose that much dedicated weight from those taking those drugs. So unless you do it with some sort of plan, I don't know that it's that it's worth even doing it unless you have some sort of plan.
Yeah, you always need a plan. And as far as diets go, I feel like the sugar diet, I feel like it's a easier protocol than a lot of other ones. My brother and I, we've both said that about carnivore too. And carnivore is convenient and feels good. We both like meat. We both like fat. But also, again, if it's to our detriment and not giving us some of the results that we want, he's trying to lose weight. I'm still trying to lose weight. And I got like about 10 more pounds to go. And it's been a real bitch, to continue to try to lose weight. But in my opinion, it feels like this protocol gives me the best shot to get down to that weight and then still have energy. Because when I get down to that weight, I still want to be able to perform really well. I don't want to just feel like I'm going to die. I've done bodybuilding show before, but the bodybuilding show, it was kind of short. My prep was not super long. It was only like 9 weeks or something like that. And it worked. The nutritional protocol for that worked great. It was predominantly carbs, and a good amount of protein with very minimal fat. But there was a lot of cardio every day, doing tons of cardio. There was a lot of steroids in there, fuck ton of drugs, 3 cc's of a bunch of different stuff 3 times a week. So, I was able to get great results with that, but I don't want to live that same life that same way. And I was really attached to the food. You needed like meal prep. You eat like 6 times a day. And it just felt like way too much for me personally.
Yeah.